Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Crypto City. I am here with Miggy Sellis, who has been on before as one of our field experts. Hi Miggy, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Of course. So tonight's episode, we're coming up almost to our season finale. And so tonight's episode, I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a recap of some educational learning resources for Web3, NFT, and crypto, and a little AI at the end there because I'm in love with the AI right now. But before we get into all of while I have you here, Miggy, because your big thing is crypto, um, the all of the stuff going on right now with the SEC and Coinbase and Robinhood and everyone. So I mean, it's crazy because most brokers do not, they're not allowed to deal with crypto. Like my financial advisor and my brokerage firm are not allowed to, but they can, I can talk to them about it. They can tell me their thoughts, but they're not allowed to do any trading. So there are certain places that are allowed to. But the crypto, Coinbase and them, they're supposed to be registered according to the SEC. Coinbase was trying to go through this. They, reached out to the SEC for some assistance, and then SEC slaps them with a suit. Robinhood comes forward and says the same thing happened with them. What's your take on all of this?
Just in my experience, seeing how things have developed over the last decade. Um, Honestly, I mean, there's a lot of things to really kind of consider. Uh, I think, first and foremost, everything is still so new. Even though it seems very familiar to us, cryptocurrency, money, a lot of these concepts are becoming familiarized and becoming normalized. But the at the technology level, I think the biggest confusion is like what it is, actually, like what is cryptocurrency? How is it compared to fiat currencies and the current monetary system that we use now? And I think what the SEC is, trying to do is get a hold of that, really trying to buckle down because they don't really understand what things are. And they're just trying to position them to, really be able to, for one, benefit, from things that are happening in the crypto space. Also, find protect people. I know there's a lot of things that are going on with the SEC. A lot of people aren't happy with, decisions that they make. That isn't very, friendly for the overall communities. But one of the things that they do good is in protection. There are some laws that we don't agree with and that aren't that great, but there are some that are really good and do provide great protections. And so, with that, being said, I think part of this is just a mass confusion. How do we make laws, to protect ourselves, but also, be fair for everybody, especially in the participation of, cryptocurrency. And I think one of the big things is just the SEC and their lack of knowledge and their understanding, being from a completely side of, not really knowing and understanding what cryptocurrency is and trying to use legislation that currently exists to control something that is brand new. And so I think just what we're seeing is just that's a mess of the results of people understanding or what the technology is and trying to use old laws to make something work that's brand new. And so I think at the end of the day, a lot of mistakes are going to be made, especially early on now. A lot of power moves are being made. I think most people's fear is that the SEC is going to implement a bunch of laws to make cryptocurrency inaccessible to people. But I think that's one thing that they won't be able to do. And another thing that people are afraid of is that the government and the SEC itself will outlaw cryptocurrency and make it so that way the U.S. is not able to participate. But one thing to remember is that the U.S. government is one of the largest, if not the largest, holder of Bitcoin in the world. So with that, being kept in mind, you can definitely understand that whatever they're going to do with the SEC and the laws regarding cryptocurrency, um, it's going to be in favor for them, but they're not going to do away with it. So again, sorry, kind of to get off on a tangent, but I think again what we're seeing is just a mess of things of trying to understand something that is still kind of brand new and adopt it to a society who's been living on a bunch of archaic laws. And so
Mhm.
this is the result of that. A lot of people just not really knowing what really to do.
Yes, a lot of uncertainty and, people trying to regulate what's supposed to be unregulated, but at the same time with good purpose behind it. So,
Yeah, and I think for the most part, that's a lot of things that we experience with the government. As much as we see things as ill-intentioned, I think most of it is just mistakes.
mhm.
That the government maybe is not as competent as they claim to be, or as they
I
used to
think
be.
we all
A
know the
lot of things have
government's not
changed.
as competent as we want
Yeah,
them to
no,
be.
100%. And I think that's the problem, is that there are things where there's a lot of failures happening just because the areas where they should really be leading on, there's a lot of inexperience and apparently, and so
Mhm.
we got to deal with that.
Absolutely. Well, starting out with crypto, I think tonight's episode with the slides here, our first one we're going to deal with is on cryptocurrency. Coinbase, despite everything that's going on right now with this lawsuit with the SEC, Coinbase is still, one of the foremost authorities with cryptocurrency. Like it's one of the oldest ones that's been, involved with it. And there are a lot of resources on Coinbase's website. If you wanted to go on there and just kind of learn some basics about cryptocurrency, learn how to, purchase it, how to, manipulate it. So, these website slides that we're going to show you here tonight are places that you can go to. And, I'm going to put this in the Discord. All the links will be there so that you can check it out. But, these are places that you can go to get a little bit of, knowledge and feedback on the topic. I apologize, the screen has gone down, but we'll get that back up and running. Um, so Coinbase, have you used Coinbase, I assume?
Oh yeah, no. I know a lot of people aren't big fans, but I've had my Coinbase account since like 2013. So, I think like a year or so after they really kind of blew up and started to grow into the more corporate
Hmm.
side of things, that's when I got involved. But I mean, my experience has been good since I've had them. I've never really had too many issues dealing with them. Anytime I've had to go through customer service, sometimes it may have taken a lot longer than it should have, but I mean, I always got the results that I was expecting. And um, I mean, I know they're just trying to do, again, just kind of similar with the SEC stuff. They're trying to do what they can, with the limited information that they have, according to the laws that currently do exist. So, it's like trying to put together a puzzle piece, and you can't really see, any of the, or I guess trying to do a puzzle upside down. You're at the mercy of just trying to find the pieces that fit. You can't really use the picture itself to kind of put it together. You're just putting things, and as they fit, you find more pieces, you put them together, and that's what they've kind of done, is just every year as the laws change, as the government, makes new decisions for or against cryptocurrency. You have companies like Coinbase who try to keep up with those different compliances, and first and foremost, they are currently the most accessible way to get to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And kind of like you mentioned, they have gamified little education tidbits where anytime they list a new coin on their exchange, you have the opportunity to take like a 5-minute video and quiz to learn about it, and then they'll reward you with that crypto. So a lot of the
Interesting.
ones that have, yeah, so a lot of the big ones that have boomed and have been doing very well, at some point in the last couple years on Coinbase, you could have earned a little bit just by reading a quiz to learn about what they did, what they were, what blockchain they were. And it's cool because it's just like a few minutes. It's a little bit of information, but it's very concise and very precise. Like they tell you exactly what the project is, what they do, and then they give all the links and information that directs to it. And then again, they'll reward you with some tokens. So it's a good resource, especially for learning about new tokens. In the years since I've been, learning about crypto and Bitcoin, I've always liked Coinbase. Like especially as I started to learn, not to just buy into every new coin
Hmm.
that came out. Basically, my rule became that If it got listed on Coinbase, then I would look at the opportunities to invest in it because the chances are, Coinbase did their due diligence. They waited, they spent a lot of time and really looked into it before listing it. And so if they listed it, then at least I have an opportunity to know that they're probably going to be around for a long term. So that's always been a good key for me. And they've been pretty reliable as far as my experience. But, again, trying to keep up with the different changes of the world and the governments and how we apply and use cryptocurrency, like they're at the mercy of that, and they have to comply at the highest level of the law. So they're doing their best to make it as decentralized and accessible to everybody as possible, but at the same time trying to compete with the government and financial institutions that currently exist right now.
Sure. Okay. So, on to our next resource. We have Ledger. So I know Ledger, we've talked before about the Ledger wallets, and on one of our previous episodes, we talked about the fact that their website actually offers a lot of education. I've gone on there several times. There's a lot of good little tidbits to learn on there. And the great thing about their website is that it's all free. You can go on there and you can learn a whole bunch of basics on there. All these little programs at the all these little segments, if you want to call them, that you can go on and you can watch them and read through them and learn all about the basics of crypto. It's really interesting. Have you been on that site? Have you checked it out? Because honestly, it's one of the I feel like it's very understandable for the average person, but it's not dumbed down. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
at a good level where you can read it, get some knowledge, and actually go and do something with it right after.
I haven't had a chance to check it out, but I'm definitely trying to make a list of good resources, like this for education, just because, it's one thing to Google stuff and just kind of look it up, but, when you kind of know what people are reading through and what is, working for others, then it makes it easier to kind of pick through all the nonsense.
Of course. Okay, so moving on to our next crypto. So this is a website called Skills You Need. Okay, they have it's kind of interesting. There's life skills in there. It's not all based on Web3 and crypto and all that stuff. It's a little bit of everything. So if you haven't been to this website before, there might be some other stuff on there that's very interesting for you to learn. But they happen to actually have a really good beginner guide to crypto. Now, here's the thing. There's going to be a lot of websites that we're going to show you tonight. Some of them are going to have a lot of free information. Go on, check it out. Some of them are going to have tidbits of information that they want you to pay to get more information. You don't have to pay for anything. I'm just giving you resources so that you can have something to go to as a reference. There may be some people in here who really need more in-depth knowledge and might want to sign up for whatever program they're offering. A lot of them have free newsletters. I'll tell you right now, I have a TDLR. I get that newsletter every day. There's so much information in there. They take everything that's going on right now, the SEC stuff, a lot of other things. They give you like 4 or 5 things every single day that they push out to you in this little newsletter. And it's probably about 2 paragraphs on every single item. It's great. So you can get on some of these free websites and free newsletters and get a bunch of information from it if you're just looking to have a broad knowledge. But if you're looking for something more specific, some of these websites will have courses or certificate programs. But yes, so this website here, there's a beginner's guide on how to trade crypto. And again, I'm going to put all of these in the Discord with all the links so you'll be able to come on and check it. So this next site is NerdWallet. NerdWallet is all about cryptocurrency. It gives you some information on, some basics on blockchain, basics on cryptocurrency. And this is a good, just a basic knowledge website. To
Definitely.
MetaMask. Okay, so MetaMask. Let's talk about Web3 for a little bit right now. So MetaMask has an incredible Web3 training program on there. There's again, it's almost like the one that we just showed you, where they have a whole bunch of blue. Can you scroll down just a little bit on that one, maybe? Uh, Okay, so if it talks a lot about blockchain, it talks a lot about Web3, and there's actually a whole bunch of little programs on here. And again, these are all free for you to float through and check out. It's really great. So this website we had actually in a previous episode, we told everybody about it. And I definitely recommend anybody who wants to know more about Web3 and the basics or how to get more involved in it, definitely come to this. There's a 101 course here, talks about, it gives you a little bit of everything. It talks about Web3 and crypto, so you kind of get a feel for both of them and how they work together. So definitely one of the highly recommended sites. Each one maybe takes you somewhere between 15 minutes to a half an hour to go through, and there's a lot of them. So you have a lot of knowledge in one spot here. Web3 development. So now some people, Web3, some people want to get really deep into it, want to start creating things. Miggy, tell us a little bit about your stuff with Web3 so that they can hear some of the stuff that's available, because I know you do stuff with gaming.
Who are like looking to do any type of like computer engineering, software engineering, development, like stuff like that, learning how to code and program, blockchain coding. Those are some things that people overlook as skills that anybody could really learn. If you had the time and the interest, you could pick up the basics of coding and programming. And, these are turning into very great opportunities in Web3, just because, this is a new industry that's growing. And as she said, there's a lot of different applications. First, we got introduced to the financial part of it when Bitcoin kind of came out. Everybody got excited that financial world was being changed. Then, in the last couple of years, more people started learning about NFTs, and now, we're all seeing potential beyond the financial world. Now there's a lot of applications where we can really connect it to other things besides just money. And so I'm also working in the gaming industry, as she mentioned, and that's something where all this program, learning how to code, creates a lot of great opportunities because there's a lot of infrastructure that still is needing to be worked on for all these different industries, for artists, for musicians, for game developers, gamers, and then back to the financial sector. And so learning how to code and program essentially will give you, a lot of room that you'll never not have an opportunity to work, especially as the years go by. And there's already, a lot of search for different developers and programmers because there's just not enough that know about blockchain development and Web3, and taking, a website and integrating it with blockchain wallets and NFT technology so you could log in, and all these different things. And, there's a growing interest in that. And so there's a high demand for, people who could do those kinds of things. And then even if as an artist, there's opportunities for different artists. Like if you want to learn how to do switch from physical art to digital art, there's big opportunities for that because not just in selling NFTs for, profile pics, PFPs and stuff like that, but for again, the gaming industry, they need art concepts to be drawn up. The car industry, they have designs that need to be drawn up, concepts, people that have these visions and ideas that most of the time they have other people draw them out for them so they could present them. So advertising, logos, there's a lot of great opportunities that as an artist, beyond just making your own personal art, there's a lot of things that take design, and um, take an artist, to really construct that. Fashion, you know what I mean? Like starts off as a drawing, you draw these
Mm.
concepts and then you go from paper into reality. And so there's a lot of things that you could learn now that these industries are going to continue to grow and these job opportunities will continue to grow. And so, especially with the coding and programming, because I've seen people who were never coders or programmers start learning about, development in Web3 and blockchain and really pick it up pretty easily. And so again, those are going to be high paying jobs, because there's a high demand. More companies, more industries are wanting to get involved with Web3, but the biggest problem is finding people that they can hire to
That's
help
right.
do these development, because these companies are
Mm-hmm.
very limited right now. There's only so many companies you can hire, so many people you can find who know enough and are reliable to, to pay to do stuff for you. Um, so yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, definitely a good opportunity because again, it goes beyond just writing up codes and scripts. Like you could do it for all kinds of stuff, games, artists who want to generate, their own projects. People code those, they code those PFP projects. That's why they're called generated because they have somebody build the program for them. The artist, creates the designs and then they plug in those pieces of art into the program and then it creates all the different PFPs. So coding, has a very big wave of opportunities coming in. There's so many different things you could do with it as well.
Mm. So, so obviously, like everything that you just covered, I mean, so the breadth of possibilities within Web3, I mean, there's so many aspects of it, whether it's the wearables, the gameplay, the actual, platforms, everything that's being created. It all comes back to,
Yeah.
learning the basics and coming through with it, whether you end up going in the programming and coding end of it, like you're talking about, or something, in a different direction, like the wearables. I mean, they all integrate with each other. It all comes back down to understanding the blockchain at the basic, and the basic beginning of it. So, so that these are a couple more sites here that you can go on to. Alchemy is a great educational program group. They're actually partners with other groups. So we at my company that I work for in real life, we actually use them for training of our warehouse employees in manufacturing. So, they do all types of different things, but what they do is they take software, they make software to educate and to help people learn their jobs better. And they have their website is going to have stuff on it that is for pay, as well as there's information on there for free, but the programs are for pay. So if there's somebody in here who might be looking for something to get them in a direction where they're actually learning specific skills, this is a great website to go on to get that information. If you go, if you scroll down a little bit, Blue, please. Okay, so here on this, they also give you a lot of good reference on here. So they're telling you, things to do that are outside of taking their courses, things to do to broaden your knowledge. They're telling you to follow people, follow web developers. We talk about, when we used to talk about NFTs all the time, we talked about following all these NFT creators on their Instagrams or on their Twitters, because you see how they were, selling their product, what platforms they liked the best. Well, it's the same thing with Web3 and crypto, except with crypto, you have to be careful because there's a lot of people out there that are just self-serving and not actually there to help and teach. But with Web3, there's a lot of good websites out there to follow. I follow one called King's Letter. King's Letter is wonderful. Every day he's just sharing little things that are in the news, and it's on Instagram. It's not a lot of text, but he'll put stuff up there. He'll have multiple slides regarding what's going on with different things in the different industries, and he kind of covers a lot of everything. But here's some ones on Twitter. There's some on newsletters we talked about earlier. Some of these newsletters are super helpful because they're giving you all types of things that are more current. One of the things with technology is that, what you learn today, a month from now might be obsolete or it might be outdated. What you learn, now is a good foundation, but you've got to constantly stay up with the changes. I mean, think about when you first came on to VR, how much it's changed. If you've been on for a couple of years, you've seen a lot of changes. If you've only been on for a couple of weeks, you've probably still seen some change in progress. So that staying up to date with all of the current stuff, that's where newsletters and Instagrams and Twitters and all of these are going to be most helpful, because they're most likely going to be sharing with you stuff that just happened, or that is in the process of happening, or that is on the horizon to happen very soon. So those are great resources. And I know a lot of times, a lot of us have a ton of stuff in our inboxes, and we're like, oh, last thing I need is another thing to subscribe to. Because I know me, I just go through delete, 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 write down and dump everything. But if you go through and you sign up for a couple of them, you might find that there's one or two that you feel is a really good resource. And then just keep those, and you should be good. Zen Academy has another intro to Web3. If we scroll down on this one, this also has NFTs, DeFi, DAOs. It has a whole bunch of interesting things that you can learn from on this one. Can we scroll down a little bit on this one? So we start with the basics of what is Web3 in a blockchain, what is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it kind of takes you logically through the through the process. So this is another great website to go on. This front page here, it does have a little bit to do with crypto as well, but you can go over here and you can check out all these different things on the side. And there's, here's some helpful stuff about avoiding wallet scams. So there's definitely some good information on these sites for you to check out. All right, so the next Web3 site. So Web3 University. So this is a good site if you are actually looking to get an education and you are looking to move forward further with this. This site here, this is going to, can we scroll down just a little bit? They partner with that group Alchemy that I told you about a couple sites ago. So here they are. Alchemy is one of their lead partners. You see some other stuff that you might recognize on here. Polygon, OpenSea. So this is a good website if you are trying to get an education and you are trying to move forward and do something more with your Web3 knowledge. All right. Next we have Class Central. Okay. These are free. These are all free online classes for you. Okay. So like I said at the beginning of this episode, there's going to be some that are free, some that you're going to have to pay for. This one is a great resource. Go on here. There are so many courses on here. They're not all dealing with Web3. You might find a ton of stuff on here, once again, to help you with other things, maybe even your job in real life. This is just a great community-based, helpful site. It says right here, never stop learning. I'll tell you something right now. I have certificates in so many different courses. I love learning new things. So, go on there, check things out. Have you checked this one out, Miggy? Because this one is super helpful.
Not yet, but it sounds like similar to like the Facebook ones. They have some certificate opportunities where they have a site where you can go learn different types of things, and they'll give you a certificate through Facebook. Kind of similar to this, but no, I like that. I think it's always good, to have stuff like this. Because before, when I first started, man, there wasn't shit. You
Right?
know what I mean? Like you
Exactly.
just had to kind of like figure it out on your own and just talk to people and just like, talk to the developers and like the miners, and that's pretty much it, man. It's nice to see
Yes,
that there's a lot of
exactly.
resources coming out like this.
And it's great because it gives the opportunity for everyone to learn a little bit of something. And you know what? I have to admit, there are times where it's intimidating to come up to somebody and say to them, hey, I just don't understand this. Can you explain it to me more? There's a lot of people in here that are super helpful within the metaverse. But there are also, some of us who are maybe a little bit more, um, introverted and don't want to come out and ask for help and would rather learn it by themselves sitting at home on their laptop. There's plenty of resources out there now, which is wonderful. Everyone gets a fair opportunity to learn what's available to each other. All right. And the next one. So now we're going to get into NFTs a little bit. So NFTs, one of my favorite topics, love NFTs, for many different reasons, love them for their beauty, love them for their utility, love the way that they bring communities together. And I know obviously that's one more thing that you're actively involved with it. So this Nifty kit is a great starting point for people who want to get involved in NFTs. And you don't have to be an amazing artist to create NFTs. Trust me, I've seen a lot of them out there, not that great. But there, there's some out there that are beautiful. But let's think about some of the ones that are like really big, like Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, we're talking somebody who started out with, a sketch of a monkey,
Yeah.
and ran with the idea. And now it's one of the biggest ones in the world. I mean, it's got, memberships, it's got, VIP access rights, it's got all types of stuff built into it. So, you might have a concept in your head of something that you think would be a cool idea for an NFT. Try it out, run with it. Yes, there's costs involved on certain platforms, to create NFTs and generate them. And, you're paying gas fees and stuff, but there are some platforms out there where the fees are minimal or none, depending on what it is you're trying to do. But for resources, Nifty Kit is a really cool way to get started, for digital creators. The next slide, please, Blue. Okay, here's another one where you need to pay for the courses. And again, I'm not telling anybody out here to go and pay for an NFT course. You should be able to figure out NFTs on your own. There's actually a slide that wouldn't come up here for some reason. It wouldn't show on the screen, but I'm going to put it in the Discord. If you Google how to create an NFT, like 9 million sites will come up, and they all tell you the same basic 6 things. They tell you to decide what it is you want to create, decide what platform you want to put it on, decide who you want to sell it to, how you want to sell it, how much you want to sell it for, and then upload your item and sell your item. It's pretty easy. It's not very difficult. And almost all of the sites that are out there, whether it's OpenSea or, I'm sorry, Polygon, any of these sites that are out there with NFTs, they'll walk you through the steps. The instructions are there. I mean, what's been, I know you've created an NFT and you uploaded it. You had a really cool one about your dog. I loved that
Oh yeah.
one. So, when you were creating the NFTs, tell us about your process. Was it pretty, straightforward?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was, I started right before, they kind of really got popular. It wasn't, too far. It was like beginning of 2021. It was like a month or two before the Beeple sale, when I started learning about it. I was minting NFTs on Wax, so it was a little bit more of a
A little different.
process, just
Yeah,
because there was less information available out there. Like I had to learn from people who were minting on the blockchain. But overall, I mean, for somebody like me to be able to do it, I mean, it didn't take too much work to figure out. Even if I didn't really know much about crypto or Web3 stuff, uh, I could have still done the same process and still been able to mint an NFT, regardless of my past experience. Just because like you were saying, the platforms that have come out and just with NFTs in general, it's made it a lot. It's made access to Web3 and cryptocurrency a lot easier. And so when I was learning about Wax NFTs, I found some resources, that friends had made, or I had talked to people and they directed me to some resources that were, kind of floating around. And just went through the steps and just learned it and just kept trying. There are other ways. When I did it, I was just kind of minting on the main blockchain and just kind of experimenting, seeing what would work, learning how to upload the images, JPEGs versus videos versus audio, things like that. Secondary files, going through all the stuff of what would work, what didn't work, and again, just kind of talking to the community. Spending a lot of time in Telegram is how I started. Just because again, there was less resources on Wax, just because that even today, like that's still not a very well known blockchain. And so I spent majority of my time learning about minting in Telegram from people who were minting NFTs. And overall, it was pretty easy, to be able to come in and do it and only take like maybe, really a couple weeks to kind of figure out the basics. and then over, a couple months, really kind of figuring out the intricate parts of it. Again, like anybody could do it, and that was kind of what really kicked off the whole NFT craze, was that it was something that literally anybody could do. You didn't have to know much about or anything about crypto, and you could just jump in because these platforms made it really easy. And then especially with OpenSea, it's really easy as long as you kind of have an idea of what you want to do and you have images
Mm.
to upload or videos. Like she said, you can literally just go through, it'll kind of tell you what you need to do, and if not, you can kind of Google it because there's more resources. But you basically just upload stuff, input information, and that's it. Like at the very basic. Like there's more things that you could do. That a little bit takes a little bit more complexity, but anybody can mint an NFT. And that's again why things popped off so much, because when people started to realize that, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people did that. They're like, hey, I can just mint an NFT myself. And so that's where then you started getting these platforms that had like no coding, where you could create generated projects which would produce, all these different PFPs with different traits and stuff. And all you had to do was input minimal items, like the very basic framework of it. So you could just have somebody else create a set of images and then upload those set of images into a no code generator. And then that would create for you like, 100 PFPs, or I'm sorry, like 10,000 PFPs or 20,000 PFPs. And all you need to do is an initial like dozen or couple dozen images or something like that. And so it's become very easy, and I had a good experience. The community was very nice. A lot of people were very helpful, which was a great thing. Was that people are very willing to help you learn and teach you, and so even without having to learn on websites, jumping into Telegrams or Discords, you find there's a lot of people who will literally walk you through it. They'll jump on a Zoom call and be like, "Hey, watch my screen. I'll mint an NFT. You see it, and then you mint an NFT, and then if you have questions, hit me up." But I enjoyed it. It wasn't too difficult, and for Wax being the most complex that I've seen so far, everything else was way easier once I started minting on other platforms.
Hmm. Yeah, again, we talk about technology changing, as time goes on, and that's what happens. It's it started out all complicated. I'm sure the more people created NFTs, the more people were trying to figure out easier ways for it to happen. And now you can basically go on there and create an NFT and upload it, in minutes versus, it taking so much time. Now, utility built into the back end of it is going to take a little bit more. Smart contracts built into the NFTs also, but these are things that you can learn how to do from within oh, here we go. This is the slide I was talking about. So pick your topic and, pick your item, choose your blockchain, set up your digital wallet, select which NFT marketplace you want to put it on, upload your file, and sell. So this is the basic process for no matter what platform you're kind of working on. So,
Yeah,
um,
creating the NFT is essentially easy, but selling it and like
selling it is
marketing it
hard.
and building a community, like that's where a lot of people ran into the trouble, because like anybody can mint an NFT for sure,
Hmm.
but not anybody can really just kind of create a community and run it or create a marketing plan and a branding, all kind. It's crazy. It's a learning process, and
It's a lot of work,
that
and
was
it's a big community.
yeah.
I actually have, a couple. I follow a bunch of NFT creators on Twitter, and some of them are people that I actually interviewed when I was doing Yummy NFTs, and it's pretty amazing, like watching them, because the NFT community, they're hustlers. I mean, they're out there every single morning, even if it's just the good morning posts every morning, a picture that they're working on, a conversation. Sometimes their posts aren't even about NFTs. They're just conversing with their followers, like, hey, what's everyone doing out there today? All right, hey, I'm out here and I'm creating. Who's buying today? And they're hustling all day long. And some of them are, selling one or two, some of them are selling huge. So it depends. And again, we've talked about this before when it comes to NFT art, the it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. What you think is valuable, someone else might think is not. But at that same time, if you're willing to pay $400 for something and you're not willing to pay anything for it, $400, here you go. I'll sell it to you. But there are pieces that sit there up on OpenSea and all these other NFT platforms for, forever and don't sell. And then you hear burning parties happening because people just, get rid of what hasn't sold. So, there's a lot of opportunity for somebody who wants to get involved in NFTs. But again, we've talked about this in the past. It is not a quick rich scheme. It is not something that you can just, go on there, make your millions and get off. It's just not going to happen that way. It's more for your own, for selling your product to get your name out there and your artwork out there and seen. And then there's other types of NFTs too. You have music NFTs, with the utility in the background there. We talked about, putting out private release tracks that musicians might only give to the people who hold their NFT. Or you might have VIP access to, backstage at a concert that is built into, the NFT. And they say, okay, in order to get this, you have to buy this NFT first. And then people who have the NFT can get backstage. And maybe they get, different, physical things that go along with it. Like, I might get a t-shirt, or I might get, a special whitelist for upcoming events that no one else is going to know about. And I'll only have that if I have this NFT. So let's go to the next resource. Okay. Zen Academy, we talked about previously with the Web3 stuff. They're also great for teaching you how to go through and mint an NFT. Again, this is all stuff that you can find anywhere. NFT information is not difficult to find. Google it, you'll find a million different places. These are just some of the best resources that have them listed in a very neat and cohesive fashion so that you can go in there and easily follow along. And they also, in addition to just having them on there, the instructions, they have just explanations of the steps that you're taking so that it makes more sense to you as you're doing it. Blew the screen went away. Miggy, you do a lot with the gaming NFTs. We've talked about this on a couple of episodes where, the NFTs are, might be weapons that you upgrade to within a game, or certain armor and clothing that you can get within a game.
Yeah, no, I think, some of the best applications for the NFTs, can be some of the most basic things, that are kind of already exist. And so for me, that's kind of why I got into the gaming because I mean, overall, there's not really a lot happening just in Web3 in general that really connects to like real life stuff. I mean, minus Bitcoin, it's tied to finances, but it's still not something where it's like, hey, you know what? I can have Bitcoin and like just go buy stuff with it, and pay my rent with it or pay my cell phone bill. It's not there's nothing that's like super familiar yet where it makes it easy for people to have it and spend it. And so with crypto and most NFTs, there's not a really big reason to get involved for most people in the world that are outside of Web3. Um, so for gaming, I saw it as an opportunity because it does have an application or it does have some way to connect to just like everyday regular life stuff. Especially, since COVID happened, the gaming industry has been continually growing. You know, it's a multi-million, maybe possibly multi-billion dollar industry that's out competing entertainment and sports, together. And so basically just tells you there's a lot of people in the world spending a lot of money playing games for their own enjoyment. And so gaming itself has a really easy has a there's a really easy opportunity to bridge over into Web3 because of NFTs and cryptocurrency and blockchain. The gaming industry is already basically set up to be able to have NFTs. And so for me, I got involved because again, I wasn't really seeing a lot happening with NFTs to where, it would make sense for people to want to get involved. And my biggest thing has always been onboarding and, giving people reasons to participate, or at least helping them find a reason to participate into Web3 so you could onboard more people. And I think gaming will be that big opportunity because, again, it's something familiar, with as we've seen the last 2 years, it's kind of changed a bit. The game studios are starting to finally realize, like, hey, let's just make a fun game that people want to play, and then kind of build in the elements of Web3 to be sort of like in the background. And so that's what you're going to start seeing coming out, is that there's these cool games going to be coming out. People are going to want to play them, and unbeknownst to them, it's going to be an NFT that they get, which is a skin or a weapon item. And then, that could lead them down a rabbit hole to where they'll want to learn more about it through the game that they're playing. And again, we already know that a lot of people are playing games and they're spending a lot of money to play games without any incentive on getting money back. And so
Mhm.
NFTs create an opportunity to where you can have some incentive where it's like, hey, if you play this game that you like that has NFTs, well, you might actually be able to get some of that money back that you've invested into this game. You not only can you enjoy it, but you can at least capitalize a little bit if you're really good at it, or if you're good at, grinding games out, you can earn some of that time back by monetizing your gameplay through these skins or these NFT items that are, in the game. And that's, what really kind of pushed me to get involved, because it kind of gave me an opportunity to reach more people. And it also has some opportunity that NFTs are functional. So it was something that I could talk about to where, you know, somebody who would normally come up, well, why does NFTs matter to a normal everyday person? It's like, well, it really doesn't. But do you like playing games? It's like, well, yeah, I have an Xbox or PlayStation. It's like, well, there you go. What if your Fortnite skin was an NFT and you could resell it? And it creates concepts for people that are easier to understand. So there's just a lot of good things about Web3 and gaming that I personally see as opportunities that will help onboard people and educate them into the overall Web3 space through something that's entertaining, something that most people are already going to be self-invested in because they want to be playing these games. And so
Mhm.
the retention will be much higher. I think that people will not only hear about Web3 stuff, but they'll actually absorb the information better because it'll be tied to something that they enjoy and already want to, be invested in with their time.
Agreed. Let's go to the next slide. Little bit about AI. So I wanted to end with like one of my favorite topics. And Coursera is another website that has lots of different learning courses that are not all Web3 related. I actually have taken many courses on this website that are just business related outside of everything to do with anything to do with computers. But Coursera has AI for everyone. And starting today, they're offering this program free. And it's really great. You can enroll for free. It's at your own pace. That's one of the great things about Coursera is you've got X amount of time that you have to complete this. So it's not like you have to complete, 6 hours in one day. You might have, if you have 2 weeks to complete this next class, it takes you however long it takes you. If you have to do it an hour a night after work, because that's the amount of time you have allowed to yourself, then you get to do it that way. And you can ask for extensions if you need it to be a little bit longer. I mean, you can't do it so that you start the program now and you finish next June, but, because they're not long programs, but they do give you some leeway there and it allows you to move along at your own pace. Some people have crazy work schedules where they work overnight and they have a few hours in the day they could do. Other people work, 14-hour shifts 3 days a week and only have, the days in between off. This allows you flexibility. But the fact that they're allowing you to do this for free right now is really cool. And you know what? Exactly what it says, AI for everyone. So they're putting this out there so everyone can kind of get involved with it and check it out. It's really cool. And Coursera, again, is one of those ones at the end, you get like a little bit of a certificate type thing saying that you took the program.
Hmm.
But the classes that I've taken on it, I find to be really well thought out and very easy to follow along with. There's little quizzes sometimes too, so and you can go back and retake it if you struggle with it the first time. Learn it over, go back, retake it. I think you're allowed to take it twice, so it's actually a really great program. The next one. So AI for beginners. This is through Microsoft GitHub. You talked about Facebook having their little programs that they have. Microsoft has their community. So this is through GitHub, and this is a little program. Microsoft has this community where the programs are kind of put together at no cost or low cost on some of them, and you have all of these different resources available to you. Definitely worth checking out. And the next slide, Blue. OpenAI, I know we've talked about DALI on here before, and a lot of people are familiar with OpenAI. They are creating new programs constantly, but if you're just bored, you want something fun to do, go on here, type in anything, hit generate, and you get all your pitches. I played around on here when I was sitting at my desk earlier putting the slideshow together because I'm not going to lie, it was like, ooh, something shiny. And I started playing in AI and I
Mhm.
just started creating and creating and creating. The next thing I knew, I had about 42 pitches in front of me that I just sat there and created in about 3 minutes. So it's definitely fun. Go in there, play around, enjoy it. AI is it's exciting right now. People are creating really fun things. People are using their creativity. They're coming up with cool ideas and they're making them become visible in front of their eyes. It's really cool. Check it out, play around with it. I know all of you have at least seen something in AI, but there's plenty of places for you to play around on your own at no cost. And you usually get to save the pitches as well. And I think that's our last one, correct, Blue? Okay, so all of these websites and resources I'm going to put in the Discord. If you're not on our Discord right now, you can just go look for Crypto City VR on the Discord. If you can't find it, go on to our Instagram. Our Instagram is Crypto City VR. Up at the top, there's a link tree. In the link tree, we'll have all of our socials, our YouTube, our Discord, everything is there. Click on that, go to the Discord, subscribe to our channel, and there's a category under there that says, slides from episodes, and you can get all of this information with the hyperlinks, so you can go in there and check the stuff out. Anything you'd like to add, Mickey?
Um, yeah, I think with the AI, it kind of helps with the learning curve of everything else. So if you spend a little time kind of looking at what's happening with the AI stuff, kind of like with the coding, you can skip, a bit of a process. Like learn how to manage AI and all the different programs they have, and you won't necessarily need to know how to code. You know, it would definitely help, but there's a lot of stuff coming out now where they're basically saving you a lot of time that if you just learn how to talk to the AI and direct it, you can do a lot of stuff with it and get it to do a lot of stuff for you. Like I said, like create programs or codes that, you don't necessarily have to do yourself because these are becoming so much more sophisticated and the
Mm-hmm.
capabilities like with this one, you can generate images. Then you have the chat bot where you again like there are people creating programs and stuff with it, people who
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to code at all. And so even with just a little bit of knowledge of coding, if you invest some time with the AI, I mean, with Web3 stuff, there's a lot that you could be able to do with that and help manage and create projects, that you want to do, cryptocurrency tokens, things of that nature. And so you can kind of skip some steps just by learning how to work with these different AI programs and learning how to work with AI itself. Just that's a fundamental base of blockchain technology and how these blockchains work is very basic AI programming, and it's becoming more and more complex, especially with these smart contracts. So definitely worth the look because again, it'll save you some time for sure, and make sure you're being in Discords and Telegrams too because talking to people is always a great resource to learn, especially from those who have had at least experience doing things. Because that's where I found that was always my biggest resource was everything I could read and I could watch. It helped me to talk to somebody who did it because whatever mistakes they personally made. Because there's a lot of stuff that you're going to run into that they're not going
Mm-hmm.
to talk about. in text or write about and stuff like that.
Excellent points. Yep. So, this is a fun thing to deal with in Web3. AI is amazing. So, you know what? Play around with that. Get yourself familiar and find that maybe that's your entry into everything else. Um, So thank you very much for coming on tonight, Miggy. I appreciate you being here with us. I do want to apologize for the disruptions that have happened tonight. And I want to apologize to all of you. We put this show together so that we could kind of share and have people come in and, impart knowledge to people who want to learn. Unfortunately, there's some, there's trolls in the community, and lately they've been at an all-time high. And I apologize for the fact that they disrupted the show and made it a little bit difficult to, share what we were trying to get across. But hopefully you got something out of the links that we put up on the board. And again, they'll be in the Discord. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time to come out tonight for this. We do have 2 episodes left before the end of the season. We're going to try to squeeze them in. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep people at bay, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Rasta. Hopefully, we'll be able to get these last 2 episodes off, and we'll be looking for a new home space for next season. But hey, you know what? This is our trip around the metaverse. We started in alt space. We tried out spatial. Maybe VR chat is next. So we'll see where we go from here. But thank you all very much. I appreciate you coming, and we'll see you next Monday night.